you very much. It's nice to be here. Hello to anybody who's watching online. My name is Nik Perring and I am a writer. I write books, I write scripts, letters of complaint, various other things. But I spent nearly 20 years now teaching people how to write books and scripts, and also people how to teach it. I've done bags and bags of CPD. So we're going to do, hopefully this time, for 3 exercises. I want this to be quite a practical thing. If there is anyone online who wants to pop up with any questions at any time, do so. I think the most important thing when teaching, full stop, is engagement, and that means listening. It isn't ever just a talk. So what were we talking about before we came on? We were talking about getting people away from screens, weren't we? Which is ironic if people are watching on screens. But the first thing I'm going to say about new ways of teaching is kind of reversing that and going back to something a lot more simple, because the principles of writing and storytelling are the same no matter if you're teaching year 3 or if you're teaching postgrads. I've done similar sorts of things at the BBC, masterclasses with PhD writing students, as I've done year 3, and it all starts with really simple things. So we're going to do a bit of a warm-up to get us going, because the biggest barrier that I have found to writing is confidence. I think people are worried about it. How confident are you at writing?
No, I'm okay. I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm okay. Depends what I'm writing about.
That's interesting. Why?
I don't know. I guess, no, not what I'm writing about, it's who's going to be reading it.
That's interesting as well. Yeah, I think they're both true, actually. I think you're more likely to write something good if it's what you want to write.
Yeah.
Which is where a lot of people struggle, because, especially in education, you're told that you have to write in certain ways. But audience is really important as well. Because it's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a secret. When you share any piece of writing, nobody knows if you've made it up or not. You have absolute freedom to use like your deepest, darkest secrets, fears, confessions, and people think we might have made it up, and vice versa. It could have been completely made up, and that happens with my writing all the time, and everybody always gets it wrong. They'll read a story that I've written and go, "Oh, he was going through a lot of money." I was like, "No, I was so happy. It was great." It's just that I chose to write about something that was upsetting, and I think before we get started, the point of art and story is a part of that, but so is video, so is script, so is film, so is TV, so is painting, so is dance, so is movies. All these things are to make somebody feel something. Doesn't matter what. You can feel annoyed, you can feel like you want to get up and dance, you can feel heartbroken. If you've made somebody feel something by your art, you've done your job.
Yeah.
You've done your job. And the biggest compliment you can get as a writer, certainly, is you made me cry. Because that means somebody was invested enough in what you made up to have a real emotional effect. So we're going to do a really quick warm-up. And I think this is going to be fun. There is your paper. Are you joining us? Okay. So the first thing we're going to get you to join in.
Where's
So I developed this as a warm-up when I was working with the children in care council in Sheffield a few years ago, and I've used it tons and tons and tons of times since, in various different guises and places and countries. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down our favourite animal and why, or what animal we would be if we were an animal. So you're going to write, I love owls because they are silent and deadly.
What if you don't know?
Put it down. Write down, I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
Because.
Yeah, was that an answer?
As long as there's a because in there, because the because gives us extra depth, and you naturally want to finish a sentence with more description, which is really, really good. Again, it doesn't really matter what level you're at, or what level you're teaching at, you're on that. So we do this really, really quickly. I'm going to give you another 10 seconds. The best advice that I can give you for writing or for teaching writing is don't think too much. Once you start thinking, you stop yourself, you censor yourself, you edit yourself. The biggest barrier I have seen, as I said before, is people not being confident. So if you write quickly without thinking, you don't get a chance. And nothing that you
like
write...
automatic writing, isn't it? Yeah.
And nothing that you do is wrong. Next one, we're going to do favourite food or favourite thing to eat and why. With this one, just think. It doesn't have to be how it tastes. It could be where you go to eat it, who cooks it for you, who you cook it for, the smell, the sound of it sizzling in the skillet. It might be related to a memory. So really, really simple sentences. I like mashed potatoes because mine's always jelly. Because when I was little, my gran used to bring me jelly that she'd made. So I really like jelly because it reminds me of my grandma coming around. I'm going to give you 15 seconds on that. As long as we get a because in there, then we will be all right. Five seconds. The next thing I would like you to write down is favourite colour, because that's an easy one, and why. So I love green because why? Like red. And again, think about, try and go sideways with it. It might be because you just love the colour, but it could be associated, it could be your mother's eyes. It could be the sunrise we saw together. It could be, if you're doing this with younger people, ask them if they're in any clubs. Is it your uniform, your dance leotard, or your football kit, or your swimming cap? We've got about 9 seconds left on this. Next one, we're going to write down our favourite time. That could be a time like 3:20 or 5:10, but it could also be the first time you did something, the last time you did something, breakfast time, dinner time, lunchtime, the time before you get up on your birthday when it's so exciting. It could be an era, it could be like Edwardian times or something like that. And what we're doing here is encouraging whoever is doing the writing to think sideways. What tends to happen is if I ask you to do something, you do the first thing that comes into your head, which is great because you're not thinking too much. But what we really want is interesting stuff, because when you're sending something for moderation or it's going to be marked, if it stands out as being a little bit different, whoever's doing the marking or moderating will engage slightly differently with it. And I can give you a really quick exercise to do on that, actually, which is good for primary school. You have 10 seconds. Right, we're going to write down, I am, and then your name, or whatever name you'd like to be known as. Could be Sam the Great, Queen Ellie. Ellie? Yeah, Queen Ellie. I don't know.
It's got a nice one to it.
It has, I like Queen Ellie. And you're going to write down a promise, something that you're going to do. Could be made up. Okay. Mine is always permanently, I am Nick, and I swear I will tidy my desk. It never happens, which is why I use it all the time. But something that you want to do. It might be something bigger than that. It might be a dream job. It could be I am Ellie, and I will be the first woman to ice skate on Saturn's rings. It might be like a dream job. It might be a play, theatre.
Yeah.
Me too.
I really wanted to be an astrophysicist when I was a kid, but I'm not smart enough with like physics and stuff like that and maths. So.
Yeah. Be like a space artist.
If that was a thing, yeah.
Make it your thing.
Make it a thing.
Next thing you're going to write down when you finish that page. And notice as well, I'm sort of rushing you into doing it. I'm not giving you the chance to go back. When I do this with younger ones, I will invoke my don't worry about spellings rule.
Yeah.
No crossings out rule. Just write it.
Yeah.
Just because we can talk about that now actually. When you're talking about doing it in schools, you want to get young people into the mindset that they've got thinking time, they can plan it. If you take like the question 5 paper 1 GCSE creative writing bit, you've got a 45-minute period of time to do your exam. You can have 5 minutes thinking time, and I'll show you an exercise to do that. 20 minutes writing time, which you can do loads in 20 minutes, which leaves you a whole 20 minutes to go back and make things better. So you can put things in that you know aren't great, but no, you got that insurance that you're going to be able to go back and change that and got to, you know, a better verb for whatever it is you want to say. So we're going to do 2 things, and this is why I encourage you to use your voices. When we think about writing, where do we think from? What part of our body do we use to think?
Mind.
Yeah, I'm sure I said that. There, isn't it?
Yeah, but sometimes people usually express their heart's content through writing.
Yes. Where do we feel?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like most people who journal, they've said that they release their pain through writing, so the pain's coming right from their heart.
Exactly, that's exactly the point. So we think from here, we feel from here. What's halfway between them?
Voice.
And when you think about what writing is, go back to the origins of writing, it comes out like that, doesn't it? It could be poetry, it could be sitting on a campfire, telling a story. When we write, we want it to sound like us. We don't want it to sound like somebody trying to sound like a writer, because then you just sound like somebody trying to sound like a writer, and you use words like preambulate and yowl. Nobody knows what it means. Because the point of storytelling is to tell a story, and that's got to be clear. So if I'm saying to you, the middle-aged Homo sapien preambulated betwixt the brown boughs, you're like, what? It means a man walked past some trees. And if that's the point, say it so we can understand it. So I want you to use your voice. Imperatives. 2 things that you want. Need, deserve, are owed. Give me more time in bed. I demand people laugh at my jokes. 2 things. I'll give you a minute. But use those words. Be bold with it. Be bold. And again, you can't get this wrong. That's really, really key. We'll do more if you want. Or fewer. The other thing that I will stress all the time is things don't have to be long to be good. They can be really, really short and be really, really moving or effective. It's more important to be clear. You know, if you're thinking, I have to fill, you know, this 10,000 words thing with 10,000 words, but your story is only 5,000, you've got half of it that's padding it out and stopping people get to the point. The last thing you're going to write when you get a sec is one thing you'll never do. I promise that you'll never do. I'll never be mean to people. Do we have a whiteboard here? That'd be cool if we could. So, what we do when we finish with this little exercise, and I've done this loads and loads, and it's brilliant. Because it shows you how easy it is to write a poem without realising that you're writing a poem. That's what you've all done. And it also shows how much you can change the tone of something by just changing a couple of words. So, where does that work? Well, so when I did this, I'm pretty sure it's on the floor again. for your example. Text, I do like a dog as much as the next person, but I thought that's not interesting. What we want to do is make it more about me, or about what I think, or what I feel, and I personified it basically. So I basically scribbled this out and changed it to that, and you can change it to that as well if you want. So mine is something like, I am leopard, or maybe lemur too. I like to think I'm cute. Check out these big eyes. They're here to take in the room in all of its beauty. I am cake. If you have too much, you might make you sick. But once a week, I like to think I'm a treat. I am green. I'm not envy. I am go at traffic lights in fields. I am the autumn time when you can taste the sweetness in the air. I'm Nick, and I swear I will tidy my desk one day. Give me more time in bed. I demand everyone laughs at my jokes. I swear I will never knowingly be unkind. So you get that sort of thing. And it sounds more interesting, doesn't it? Rather than me saying, I really like cats. And I do really like cats. But it gives us the opportunity to sound more poetic as well by only changing a couple of letters. So that's what you're going to do. Change the I like or my favourite or whatever it is to either I am or I prefer. And do that all the way down to the bit where you just say what you're called. So it's just I am orange, or so literally put a line through it, because we want to get people to getting used to changing the stuff. Because the other barrier that we get is people think, I put effort into this, I've exerted physical force and thought into writing these words, I don't want to get rid of them because it means that my effort was wasted. It doesn't, you're making it better. So I'll give you 20 seconds. It shouldn't take you very long if you just... So either I am or I prefer. Can we hear a couple?
So I am horses because they have the ability to roam free, galloping through delicious meadows. I am the roast beef Sunday lunch. It smells divine and it will be shared with those I love. I am orange. It reminds me of those warm sunny days where playing outside is precious. I am time. Early in the morning, the calm before everyone wakes up, and a time for me to go for a run. I am Sam, and I am going to become a first-class teacher, always learning, always engaging, always passionate and driven. I demand more time to share stories with my kids. I ask for more money so that I can share more experiences, and I will never stop trying to be a better version of my current self.
That's lovely. That's really a compliment around there. Did you feel that summarised you?
Yeah, definitely.
You can use that in class to find what people are interested in. I've done this with people that have been working with kids for 7 or 8 months, and I had no idea that they were really into hockey.
Yes.
And once you know that from a pastoral point of view, you've got a way in, haven't you?
Yeah.
Can we hear yours?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
I am all animals because I am part of Mother Nature and deserve to be here as much as anyone else.
Yeah.
I am chicken nuggets, it's called chicken fried chicken because I taste good and there's lots of ways to cook me. I am indigo because it's pretty and reminds me of the sunset, ocean and sky. I am the night before Christmas as a child because I'm looking forward to presents, food and seeing my family. I'm Ellie and I promise that I will enjoy my life and all of its experiences. I ask that people try to understand my art and I demand more time to explore the world, and I will never lie to myself.
Oh, that's really good. I really like the end. Well done. How did you feel about that?
Changing it to I am does make it feel a lot more personal. I think before, yes, it is personal, all the things that you're writing, but as soon as you put yourself in there, it kind of these things do make up who I am. So
you get, as a result of that, somebody who's completed a poem without thinking, how do I write a poem?
Yeah.
They feel good. because they've done something that's represented them. And people like talking about themselves. It's something that they can't get wrong. What do you like? Without saying, like, what do you like? What do you need? Which is a little bit frightening. It's quite an easy way of getting people to express themselves. And it's also, to a point, psychologically profiling. If there are problems or the things that people want, when I've done this with Never Such Innocence, with young people who are in military families, it's brought up a load of things that teachers can help with. You know, what do you want my dad to stay? I don't want to move again and leave my friends again. So those things, those little cues for teachers, you don't have to act on it in class, because the real point of it is to get people feeling good about themselves, and getting them to express themselves and get them to write something and finish something that they can be proud of. But afterwards, you can do something with it, can't you? You think, right, I've noticed that, but I also know now that he also really likes Stoke City. So, right, that's the way in. Good start.
Sharanya.
Good. I was going to say, Julia.
Okay. So I'm a dog because I'm loyal and trust humans even after constant ignorance and mistreating, and still have the ability to forget and forgive. I am all types of food in the world because people look at me like a treat, a reinforcement, and a survival element. I am the color black because I fit in no matter the occasion or time of the day. I am the favorite time of the day is basically when I'm at the gym, because
I am the gym.
I am the gym because I always set the positive feelings and mood for the day and enforce all the negative stressors out of your body. I'm Sharanya, and I swear I will put efforts to get rid of the conscious bad traits or habits within me. I ask for the world to be a better place for people to express themselves without being judged, and I will never let down people who have faith in me.
Wow. Pretty good as well. It doesn't sound like there's much you need to change. There's one of the strange people that can go to the gym first thing. You run first thing, don't worry. But I need a day to go up.
I had 2 hours of Christmas training, and I'm like, on the floor going, I don't want to move again.
In the morning?
No, I think our latest one finishes at like 8:30 at night.
Oh, that's fine. That's
uni, and then at 6 o'clock you start running around with this one, just throwing pieces of plastic.
That sounds good. I do that, but not first thing.
But first thing's pretty fun still.
Yeah.
It's just like a day of this.
Like it. So, that is poetry. What I would always stress to people about poetry is there isn't a wrong way of doing it. You can rhyme it if you want, you can do verse, and that's what a lot of people think that poetry has to rhyme. It does not have to rhyme. My favourite poem ever is by William Carlos Williams, and it's called This Is Just to Say, and it goes something like, this is just to say I'm sorry I ate the plums that you kept in the icebox. And we'll probably save them for later, but they were so cool and delicious. That's it. Could have been written on a post-it, left on a fridge. It doesn't have to be this long-form, epic thing. It doesn't have to have a set meter. And giving young people the opportunity, or whoever it is that we're working with, to go, do what you want with it. It's literally what you think about something written down. It could be a list, it could be a recipe, it could be anything like that. And if you mention those examples, different people in the room will be like, oh, I can just do a recipe. That's easy, isn't it? And that's what you want. You don't want it to be... No, because the biggest barrier that I think we find to young people or people in general writing is fear. It's fear of getting it wrong, or it's fear of not having it 100% right here before we even start stuff. When I write, I do not know what's going to happen. I start with an idea and I write to find out, or a question, and I hope to find an answer at some point. Often, I'll get a portion of the way in and go, oh, that's what I'm writing about. It's not about that thing that I thought, and that discovery is the exciting bit. So getting people to do it without thinking too much helps. And knowing that you can literally jettison whatever you want, you maintain absolute control of anything that you write. You can make it up. I don't know if you're not. is 100% what happens. And the other thing that I want to really talk about is the trust element, because this is how it's different to teaching most things. Because most things it's either right or wrong, isn't it? You know, with maths or sciences and stuff like that, as much as there's room for exploration, it's either right or wrong. Literacy, especially these days, we are taught very much that this is the way the author intended this to be read, or this is what this section means, or this is why we use a printed adverbial here, or whatever. Trusting people to do it and then coming back and doing those things afterwards makes a big difference. We did, I worked at a primary school trust last year, and part of it was looking at how they were going towards SATs. And they said, well, how do you deliver it? And so, you know, we've taken them through the grammar, we've taken them through the punctuation, and then they write a story or a poem. And I was like, how are you getting on with that? And they were saying that they were struggling with people starting or not knowing or what have you. So what we did, and we're going to do this exercise in a second, we got them to write for fun, like whatever you want, your idea, go on with it. I don't really care what you write, but if you write what you like, it will be good. So I'll care by virtue of you having done it. And afterwards, we got the teachers to sit down with them with the mark scheme, so the other way around, and point out what they'd already done. Because when we tell a story, we know what we're doing, because it's that ingrained in human consciousness. It's how we spread danger, news of danger, it's how we spread news, it's how we communicate, how we woo people, how we apologise to people, all that kind of stuff. And we know story structure, which is really, really simple. Something happens and then people react to it. It's as simple as that. So if you trust them with it and then show them what they've done, they feel good. You feel good as a teacher because they've listened. And you can say, oh my God, yeah. And then you can say, right, how do we make it better? Well, if you'd have started that sentence with lately, you've got your fronted adverbial. That's an extra mark. Why not make that bit speech? Put a question mark in there. So you're showing them really easy ways to, you know, that mark dial goes up while feeling confident you've done most of it already. And again, the teacher feels great, hopefully, in theory, because it shows that they've been listened to and that they have taken it in. If you're putting it or framing it as some sort of test, or you're saying, here's on the board, this is what you need to include, you're more concerned with what's on the board than actually doing the thing. And when we writers, we do not sit down and go, right, front adverbial or subordinate clause, what are we going to go with today? We just let it happen. You know, talk through your pens is what I say all the time. Use that, but use that to write it down. And if anybody's ever, which you do get in classroom, tempted to shout out, which is good because it means that they're engaged and getting excited about it, you can say, don't, because when you say those things out loud, they become air and they go away and nobody remembers it. If you write it down, everybody can hear it afterwards. So that's a really useful way of doing it. I'm going to do, which one do I want to do it? Let's do ideas. So, really quickly, and this is a useful one for you if you're doing primary school teaching. If you're ever asked to write a theme, make a list and then burn half of it, because the first few things that will be shown or people come up with will be the same that everybody else does. So if we talk about spring, what do you think of? Flowers. Sunshine, Easter, baby animals. So you imagine you're moderating 100 stories on flowers, baby animals, etc. What about the spring in a watch? A cold spring, a spring of water up in the hill somewhere. The verb to spring somebody from jail. The moment you see that slightly different interpretation, you're just slightly more engaged, aren't you? So we're going to do, we've only got 10 minutes left. Have we got any questions for anybody online? Awesome. Right, we'll do two quick things then. So, easiest way of getting ideas is, what if question? What if is, central to every story that's ever been told. And I always stress that that is not just books. I always ask people to write books. I like people who like books, especially mine, because if they buy them, I get to eat. But stories are everywhere. They are on film, they're in TV, they're on stage, they are in art, they're in dance, they're in computer games. You're playing a character in their own narrative.
Music as well.
Music, 100%. Rap. You know that music? You know what rap stands for? Rhythm and poetry. It was an African-American thing in the 50s. I think it was before beat poetry, where I think it was jazz. They basically put in spoken word to jazz. And now look where we are. So if you can show somebody that what they like is relevant, if you like Eminem, you like Tupac, which is showing my age because I don't know many other rappers, you are legitimising what they like, but you're also intellectualising it in a weird way. And you're going, if you like H and you like a poet, Sacred of the Beats, you have got a poem. It's as simple as that. And showing them, I think a lot of young people think that teachers or writers read nothing but Dickens and Tolstoy or Dostoevsky. Show them what you like. You will find common ground with them. Squid Game.
Yeah.
Because what I get all the time is teachers going, oh, I read rubbish. No, you don't. You read something you enjoy.
Read fan fiction. It's literally people who spend their time voluntarily making storylines better.
Yeah, exactly.
Supernatural. And no one in the final season. One rewrites it.
You can, and that is valid. You're allowed to do that. So, really, really quickly, the what if thing. What if there was a school for wizards and witches? What if a boy was stranded on a boat with a tiger, which is my favourite because it sounds really short, because tigers are hungry a lot of the time. So what I would do, I encourage people to write a list of 10 what ifs. And it can start here if you're struggling. It could be what if your glasses secretly fell into my soul? What if we got locked in here? What if some of us were vampires? What if we looked out the window and a UFO flying saucer landed? You could go more fantastical. You could be paying for things in leaves or petals. Your hair could show your emotions. You could be like a shark, and the moment you stopped, you would die. It could be anything at all. And I encourage people to go as bonkers with this as they can. So we're only going to get a chance to do a few of these. So if you do 4, that'd be really, really good. How long have we got? 5 minutes, is it?
Just over.
Can we go over a little bit?
Yeah, just need some time for Q&A as well, but yeah, if no one else has any questions, then
Yeah, that's cool.
When you're doing the talk, if you want to use my favourite poem that I only learned her existing yesterday.
Of course.
So, late segment, there was Carver in the new Marvel TV series.
With the Secret Invasion?
Yeah.
I've not seen any of that. Is it any good?
Oh, it's good.
Is it?
So good.
I'm on Reservation Dogs at the minute.
But no, it's part of the script of Nick and someone sort of reading late fragment to each other as being the two people in the conversation.
Interesting. Show us after, because I want to just do this one really quickly. I want to hear it anyway. I like hearing people read. So, I'm going to stop you there because you've all done good things. What you do now, similar to what we did before when we do the cross things out bit, which again shows how easily we can change stuff, and we should get into the habit of changing stuff that we don't like. We should do that in life. What we do is we pick the one that we think is the most interesting, and we start it, but we change the what if. We don't say what if. We either start it with, if it was what if animals could talk, you start it with animals could talk, or you anchor it in time. So you could say, this morning, the animals started to talk. Tomorrow at 3, the animals will start talking. You could do it like a prophecy. My grandfather told me. One day, the animals would start to talk. And what you're doing there is you're putting the point of the story, and narrative is the 3 C's. Always remember that. Write it down if you want to. It's character, who your story's about. Conflict, what happens to them that they are not expecting, that they have to react to. The reaction to it is your story. And the final C is conclusion. Did they manage to overcome the thing in the beginning? So, a lot of people will think that you set the scene first and that you lead up to that point. That's your conclusion, that's your denouement or whatever. No, start it with an exciting bit. That way you're going to be invested, aren't you? Because you don't want to go through 20 pages of walking through hills or fields or the wind or... It's great and stuff and singing dwarves and stuff like that, but it's way... You put it down, especially the attention spans being as they are these days, you put it down. If you start it with something interesting or something that's about to happen or has just happened, you're already in there.
That's the reason we don't read the Silmarillion very often.
I've not. I didn't get on with Tolkien's writing that much, but...
I managed to, for a brief few years, the Silmarillion always did the end.
I'm going to do another really quick one as well. I think we've got time. Give us your favourite what if.
So I said, the next day, rain goes like to another world.
Brilliant.
One day, people will start to read other people's minds.
Brilliant.
One day cats would speak every human language.
Okay, I changed those one day bits to today.
Okay.
Make it instant, immediate, make it actually happening. Really quick one. This is a book called Star in a Jar by Sarah Massini. I'm going to hold it up speaker. See, it's brilliant. And what it does is it shows story structure. So, if we're talking about those 3 C's being character, conflict, conclusion, most stories will have more than one conflict. So I'm going to go through this really quickly. Can you click your fingers?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, this weird thing, this has never not happened. Nobody ever just says yes and doesn't click them. It's brilliant. So, when you hear a conflict, click your fingers. Yeah? And a conflict obviously is a problem, something that's not ideal. So, sorry, Jar. My brother likes looking for treasure, particularly treasure. Literally treasure, even lesser than treasure, but one day he found something extra special. So special, I thought it must belong to someone else. We asked her help for work in school, but she said it wasn't hers. We showed it to the dinner lady, it wasn't hers either. We asked the sheriff, but he shook his head. Fairies hadn't lost it, nor had the wizards. If no one's lost it, my brother said, that means I can keep it. Yeah, interesting.
I didn't know.
No. He loved his new treasure. He put it in a jar and carried it everywhere. I'm going to skip bits just because we're running out of time. But my brother spotted something up high in the dark sky. There was a message. There was a star that's been lost and other star friends or her star friends up there. It's here, my brother shouted. But they were too far away to hear. We tried climbing up high, teaching it to fly and bouncing the star back up to the sky, but nothing worked. The star would have to stay in the jar forever. Then an idea popped into my head. I raced indoors and looked in every cupboard and every drawer, found flashlights and fairy lights, book lamps and bike lights, armbands and head torches. The sky began to crackle and fizz and the star... Interesting. The stars went together and made a long, swirly, really sparkly silver chain all the way down to our garden. Look, it's helping the star. And they lifted their little friend gently back up to the sky. My brother felt sad. He'd lost his special treasure. But then... Oh, thank you, friend. He realised he hadn't lost the treasure. He'd made a friend, a forever friend, who would twinkle him to sleep every night. Good night, Star. Why do we like that? Everybody's gone, oh, why do we like it?
Because it has a positive ending.
Yeah.
Even though you lost something, you gained something which was bigger.
Yeah, so that's 100% true and brilliant. We apply this principle to everything. If this was a novel for adults, those little conflicts would probably hold chapters or whole arcs. You know, going to see the dinner lady would be a chapter. Going to see the elves, you'd have to get to the elves. But that story structure is really simple. It is something's happened to somebody that they weren't expecting. and they're trying to get over it, they're trying to get out of it, they're trying to solve it, go under it, just going on about.
Yeah.
I have to go through it. And things will keep getting in their way. The last thing I'm going to leave you with, and it's a bit of research if anybody wants to do it, not on me, but you can find me if you want to, say hello. I always like hearing from nice people. Go on Pixar's Rules of Storytelling, it's brilliant. There's a nice exercise you can do, and my point is to always keep it as simple and as straightforward as you can. It's because of that they call it. So it's once upon a time there was and we think about Pixar movies, think Toy Story or Wall-E, we see people do what they do normally. The toys are in the bedroom doing the thing, Wall-E's collecting his trash. Suddenly something happens. It could be E coming down, it could be Buzz Lightyear entering, whatever. And then you get a series of because of that. Because of that, what happens with Woody gets jealous. Because of that, what happens, Buzz gets pushed out of the window. Because of that, because of that. You keep going until you reach until finally and see if it resolves. You're constantly wanting to put things in your character's way. In doing that, I think this kind of really straightforward basics, you take away the worry. If you can get people into the habit of doing this without thinking too much, you will have greater success. I find it useful to get people, a very, very last thing, to get people to write without sharing at least once a week for a minute, 2 minutes, to get them into the habit of doing it. And it could be like write a thank you note to your favourite object. It could be assemble your best team ever. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be footballers, it could be women in science, it could be hairdressers. It doesn't matter. But what you're doing is you're getting people to write what they want to write without worrying about getting it wrong. The more you do that, you can increase it, and you can increase it, but you're generating a generation, hopefully, of learners who are not frightened about committing their pen to paper, because the hardest bit in anything is getting started. Thanks. Any questions?
What would you say if somebody doesn't actually want to engage, first of all? Because obviously you do come across that where they are really kind of that introverted and that afraid of making a mistake. How would you go about, getting them to make that first step, really?
I think if you do these, they should have already done it.
Okay.
You can't. What's your favourite animal? You can't get it wrong. And even if they don't like animals, right? Tell me why.
Yeah.
That's fine. But they will have a favourite food, and they will have a favourite colour. Yeah. So you've already that barrier, hopefully, has already been crossed because they've done it.
Okay. So I think it was Trelawney you did that one, wasn't it? Who said? It was Ellie. Who said they have a favourite animal? Yeah, it was me. Yeah. Okay. So you just said, okay, well, just like why then?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's just like with whatever it is that they say. So just
I trust Ellie implicitly. I trust her ideas. I trust what she thinks about stuff because they're hers. I've got no right to tell you what to think.
Yeah.
I've got no right to tell you how to write it. As we go on, we can obviously improve the craft of it. But if I'm asking you a legitimate question and you're giving me a legitimate answer, if I trust you with it, you own it. So it might be. I tell the story. I was it was a resident writer at high school league, and we did this. And one of the lads in the class, and the principal came in a bikini, and everybody laughed. And we had a great teacher actually, Elaine, if you're watching. Hi. A lot of teachers would have been, that's silly. Well, no, we participate in stuff that makes us laugh all the time.
Yeah.
That's fine. And the fact that it's got to laugh means that it is funny.
Yeah.
But what we do now is say, right, start your story. I'll give you 5 minutes to write it. And it ended up being one of the most moving pieces anybody's ever written, which was about the principal was giving parts of his belongings away on his way to school to people that needed them the most and swapping things.
Yeah.
But in me trusting that idea with that student, I gave him ownership of it. And they were because it's your idea, you want to make the best of it. And it's interesting when you look at stuff that we engage with, we do engage in daft things that sometimes turn out to be really moving or really heartbreaking. you know, Fleabag, I can't never remember her name. Is it about Fleabag?
No.
She's in Indiana Jones now, she's doing well. You know what I mean? I want to say Greta Gerwig, who's amazing, but it isn't her, it's the other brilliant lady. And she to make them laugh. See, not the bridge, of course it is. You use comedy to make people laugh and you get that kind of trust and the empathy, it makes the sad a bit sadder.
Yeah.
You know? So using that as a way of engaging always works. I'm not exaggerating that.
No, that's
but you've got to get into the habit of not kind of going, have they finished? Have they started? Have they started?
Yeah.
Just holding back and trusting.
Yeah.
Because I do that. I'll be looking out the window for 10 minutes whilst my brain's percolating and go, bang, right, there it is.
Yeah.
Any other questions?